What's going on, everybody? Michael Burry has made some interesting plays in quarter four, and we're going to be going over that today in this video. I'm just going to say, pardon my appearance, I've been extremely sick. A lot of you guys noticed that I haven't been posting the daily videos or anything, so my apologies. I'm going to be back to making videos as soon as possible. But I tried my hardest because I needed to get this video out to you guys because the 13F has dropped for Michael Burry, and I just wanted to go over with you, see what holdings he has, see what sales he's had over the past quarter, and let's just check it out. All right, so looking over Michael Burry's current holdings, we've got Alibaba, Baidu, JD.com right here, Pinduoduo. Those are his Chinese holdings. We can see here he sold off 50,000 shares of Baidu, 200,000 of JD, and bought up 75,000 shares of Pinduoduo. So these are basically his quarter four holdings, and this is what he was holding previously in quarter three. So now for his sales, he has completely closed out those put positions that he opened up in quarter three. Interesting to see, and we will go over when he possibly closed out these positions / opened them, and then just a couple closeout positions in stocks. So for Alibaba, this square is just going to show our quarter four of 2024. So there was a net change. So whenever we see sold 50,000 shares, it's technically he has 50,000 shares less than what he was holding in quarter three. So basically he could have technically, my assumption is he sold around this peak right here, which we also in our portfolio sold a little bit of Alibaba, but he could have technically sold 200,000 shares or 100,000 shares and then bought back some in this dip, and basically all at the end of this quarter all he had was 50,000 shares less than at the beginning of this quarter. So just keep that in mind. But it was nice to see that he did take some profit here, just like we did in the portfolio. He probably bought up some back here. I definitely don't doubt it. And then he sold just under 1,700 puts. So for the put position, I'm assuming, so he opened it up in quarter three, and I'm assuming he opened it up somewhere around this spike initially here toward the end of September. So if he closed out those puts around these really big dips over the past couple months, last couple months of 2024, then he definitely got out with some good profit. But if he started closing them out around here, then it's possible that he could have just broken even on those. But it was an interesting play to see how he was hedging those shares with puts. Now for Baidu, we don't have a net change in shares. So it's possible that he did sell some shares here and bought back the same exact amount in this dip. Nobody knows, but what we do know is that he closed out his puts. He did open these up in quarter three as well. So most likely with this spike here toward the end of quarter three, and most likely closed off around this dip. And I'm definitely not going to be too surprised if he ends up buying in quarter one here in this dip as well. We did end up buying up a little bit more Baidu. And for the portfolio, I believe we started buying up in November during this dip and continued buying up in this dip. So that's a nice holding in the portfolio as well. Now for JD, this was a pretty significant change in shares. Sold 200,000 shares, which is negative 40% of his total holding. And this had quite a run up. It was almost a 100% gain on JD. We were really lucky to be buying up in this dip, but Burry's been buying up all throughout this time period here, and I believe even before this. So he was buying in the low 20s, maybe even lower than that. We've been able to buy up at those same prices. Now with this recent spike, this this was definitely an opportunity to take some profit, as well as open up puts, which he did at the end of quarter three. Now for his JD puts, This pullback is not as significant as we saw with Alibaba and with Baidu. So this pullback is quite small compared to the other two. So this one here, if he did end up opening puts back around this level, he probably lost money on this position. If he opened up almost right at the peak here, then he possibly made a profit with those puts. So just interesting to see. And this was his really biggest position change. So but in our portfolio, we're definitely loving JD, and it's showing potential trend reversal. Back here, looking all the way back, it was in a crazy downtrend, and now it's slowly spiking up, coming down a little bit, spiking up, coming down, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a spike up to $60 a share. So we'll see how that goes, but I would also not be surprised if he did buy a little bit in quarter 1 here of 25 in this little tiny dip here. Now for his other sales, for his FOUR shares, quarter 2 he bought 100,000 shares around here, around a $70 average. Quarter 3 bought another 50,000 shares at about, I don't know, 75 average maybe. Could have also been below 70 if he did buy in this specific dip here or this dip here. So he could have honestly got these 150,000 shares at 70 or below. And this past quarter, he ended up selling off the entire position, 150,000 shares. And it's hard to say where exactly, but just taking in the average, this could have easily been anywhere from 30 to 50% flip on his end. So definitely a nice trade that he executed. For OLPX, he bought just under 1 million shares in quarter 2, bought up, I think it was like 2,500 shares to make it an even million shares in quarter 3, and he sold all of them in quarter 4. So this one is an interesting one, and I'm not too sure if he ended up breaking even or if he made a decent profit. But depending on where he bought and where he sold, he could have gone anywhere from 10% up to over 100% up on this position. Now for real, he's been slowly closing out this position. He had been buying up for, I think, the past 2 years, maybe even longer, into this company. In quarter 2, he started selling off shares. I believe that he bought at under $2 a share on average. Just looking at his different quarter 13F filings. And, this stock has really significantly trended up recently. But he sold off a significant amount of shares in quarter 2. Same thing in quarter 3. And he finally closed out in quarter 4. But as you can see in quarter 4, there was this insane spike. So depending on where he sold, if he sold just around the same levels as the past couple quarters, he's probably up, I would say, around 100% on the position. But if he ended up selling at the tippy top here or around here where there was a little bit of resistance, he could have easily had a 3x or 4x with the average amount of shares that he had. That was a really nice flip on his end, though he might have started exiting the position a little too early, but who knows. All right, as for Molina, this one's a little bit interesting. It's not that big of a holding for him, but he bought 24,000 shares in quarter 2, bought up a little bit more in quarter 3, probably in this dip around July. And then toward the end of the year, quarter 4, he ends up selling 5,000 shares. Now, it's a strong belief that I have that he most likely started buying Molina around here with the downtrend. And toward the end of the year, since he did make a lot of really nice profits in his other companies, he might have just made a little tax loss harvest with this one. So he possibly wrote off, I would say, minus 30% on these 5,000 shares. So just an interesting one, but he's still holding just about 20,000 shares in Molina. All right, now for the new purchases. I would go super in depth with these, but I'm feeling extremely sick, and I'm trying to get through this recording because I want to get it out to you guys as soon as possible. I think it's really valuable to get some insight into what these big investors are doing. So if that's something that you enjoy, you appreciate, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment down below, and turn on those post notifications. Building a community is difficult, and I want to have one that, is as well informed about investing, super investors, political investors, as much as possible so we can get an edge and get some alpha. EL is one of those new purchases. This one was a little bit interesting. I can't say that I love it, but it's not too bad. And I think that this is a decent purchase for a potential turnaround play. And this level that it's currently sitting at is around the 2013 support levels. So it's definitely trended down an insane amount over the past 3 years. But it seems like he might be betting on a turnaround with this company. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I think if you get into something like this is probably a great price to get into it. But just looking at all their numbers, I wasn't too impressed. Pinduoduo, Chinese company. Looking over all of these numbers, some of these 10-year numbers are blank because it's a fairly new company. It's been public for about 5 years. But going over their numbers, their cash flows, their earnings, their margins, they are doing very, very well. And I think this company is actually it's actually predicted to grow at 30 or 40% per year. So basically NVIDIA numbers. Interesting purchase. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see why he bought this one. This is one that, you wish you could buy during that 2022 downtrend, but this is probably still a good price to get in on it. All right, looking at HCA, all of the numbers look extremely good. They have really, really good growth. They've had a crazy good just uptrend overall with the stock and everything. They've got good margins. Like, it just seems like a great company. Michael Burry probably bought in this, if you can see here on the top right or bottom right. This little tiny dip here, that's probably where he bought. And as you can see, it's basically been trending up. So all these little dips have been bought up pretty quickly. So I could definitely see this one continuing trending up. The one thing that I did notice about this one is they have negative debt to equity. For some reason, their shareholder equity is going down. Their book value is going negative and going even more negative. Those are a couple of things that just seem like red flags. I don't know if that's going to be like a crazy big issue or not, but that's just one of those things that I'm like, I don't know exactly what to think about this company. Everything looks great, but there are a couple of these red flags that make me question the numbers. All right, so BRKR. Fairly expensive. It's got good growth. Nothing really too crazy to say about this one. But I could definitely see Michael Burry buying this one because also a fairly strong dips being bought up just over the past 15 years even. It's just been going. The one thing, though, that seems a little bit off is that this trend has actually been broken. And that's exactly where he's buying, is right around where that trend broke. So it's possible that he was expecting it to not break and it broke, or maybe he's going to average down some kind of turnaround for this company. But as far as what they're doing now, it's just a little bit overvalued, it seems, based on their current earnings and their outlook. For the outlook, I don't think that their earnings are supposed to grow too crazily. So, yeah, that was just an interesting one. All right, VFC. This one's definitely a turnaround play. So as you can see here, this one right around where Michael Burry bought, he probably bought at the very, very bottom in this dip. This one, they have hit some insane earnings in the past, and that's exactly during these big times where the stock price was really expensive. But with this downtrend, and they've gone negative in earnings over the past couple years, I guess he's betting on a turnaround to profit. So it's interesting to see here because this definitely is a trend reversal recently. So if he did buy right in this dip, he's already up like over 100%. So that one's an interesting one to see as well. Okay, MAGN. Looking at this one, I wasn't even sure what the heck was going on with it. Looking at the numbers, this one definitely seems like a bankruptcy play, but the book value is currently 3 times the share price. So there must be something that that Burry knows about this company. Maybe they're going to try to divest or whatever they're doing. But currently, the share price seems cheap compared to all of their assets and everything, their net assets. So we'll see how he ends up flipping that one. So the rest of the new positions I won't even mention because, yeah, they're nothing special about them. I hope you enjoyed. Michael Burry is making some crazy plays. We're going to be continuing making crazy plays in our $10 a day portfolio on Robinhood for that 10K challenge. I appreciate you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.